Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cause and Effect, a show about Vetes. This is the second part of the fifth season's first episode, and if you have missed the first part, I suggest that you head on back and watch that first. If you're not only interested in the second day and Hugh's way to the finals and how he thought when he won the European Championship of 2013, because then you can skip the first part and just rock this part to the moon, something like that. We don't really care, but we're really excited to have you watching. Anywho, so before we talk about the finals and the way to the finals, we should talk a little bit about the role you, those famous pokal cup.
This is also a cup.
Yes, and you can also have a cup to secure your balls.
You can also cup your hands.
Yes, it's a lot of different cupping. You can also cup a ass, cup a feel.
Yeah.
Are we correct, you?
Yes. You can't, but yes, other people could.
Okay. Hold on, you could bring up the winning deck.
You're not the boss of me.
You're really good at English.
Oh, look, here it is.
Oh, hooray!
Is this the best deck in the game?
No.
Okay, but just quickly, because I think most of our viewers will recognize the decks, but can you tell me what am I looking at?
You're looking at a Ventry grinder with lots of bleed cards in it, and lots of rounds, relatively. Not so much in this version, but the idea is it bleeds, gets blocked, hits somebody, sends to torpor, keep doing it, eventually your prey dies.
But why did you change up your deck from the first day to this day?
I don't like playing the same deck between two different days.
Okay.
And this, I don't know, I've tried this one a couple of times on day twos in the States, and it's been absolutely awful, so I thought I'd try it again.
Good reason. Why don't you like playing the same deck 2 times in a row?
I've done it before, and I'd won the first day the last time I did it, and then getting to the finals the second day with it just felt kind of anticlimactic, and I couldn't win. So I was like, I don't want to play this again, this doesn't work like that.
Okay.
So,
yeah, Isaac?
so there's not like okay, this deck doesn't work day 2. It's more like it's one of those things you don't want to have the same deck 2 times in a row, no matter if that would have been a good choice or not.
Yeah, I'd rather have a bit more variation, and I think, I mean, so many decks can do well. It doesn't really matter anyway. It's really how you play it, and you get a bit of luck as well. You really need the luck.
What would you say is the biggest difference between playing here with the good guys or playing with the bad guys?
What do you mean by good guys and bad guys?
I think
These
it's
are
Ventry versus
kind of
Antitribute.
Yeah, Camarilla versus Sabbath there.
So there's really 2 key differences. There could be 3, but I don't really use the third one. So the first one is these guys can play with second tradition. That's really important, really helpful, very flexible way of trying to block stuff. The second is that the Ventru Anti-Tribute have all specs, so don't really need the second tradition, but the crit doesn't work so well, because superior specs means you don't get superior fortitude or superior dominate, whereas these guys you can have superior fortitude and superior dominate and second tradition all in one. The third thing, which I don't really use very much in this, is the votes. So these guys mainly have titles, so you could play votes in here. I've tried and I found it quite difficult, but it does give you some presence on the table because there's a load of votes here.
Okay.
How many votes would you say you usually have out with this deck?
4, no problems. Probably 6, quite realistically. So you should really have 3 princes out, I think.
That's a fine presence, like vote-wise, even if you're not voting.
Yeah. Exactly. So, you are a force to be reckoned with. People need to talk to you, hopefully.
Yeah, especially if there are 2 vote decks on the table, you are the deciding vote sometime.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So that was 2 points. What was the third one? Or
That was 3 points. The first one is second tradition. The second
Okay.
one is the lack of all specs, which I think, depending on how you want to play it, the second edition is better in some ways, worse in other ways, obviously. And the third one really is the titles, which let you play votes if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You could do that with a higher cap Venture Anti-Tribute deck, but I've not seen it done in a while. Not certainly in a kind of law firm style way.
It seems kind of awkward playing with bigger caps than 7 and 8.
And it
Yeah.
feels like the vampires of both these decks are like they have some specials which are really good that
Yeah.
help the deck so much.
Like Mustafa.
Not so much Mustafa, but I mean, here you're really relying on load-in special. Emily's is quite nice as well.
Yeah.
The Anti-Tribute have much better specials. I mean, Black Horse Tanner is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anything that lets you do card selection is very strong, and Owen Evans is quite strong as well.
Yeah. So it seems like when you look at the crypt, you get a more streamlined discipline selection, since you don't go for 3 disciplines, you go for 2.
Correct, but I mean,
correct?
I go for more or less 2 disciplines in the Venture Anti-Tribute crypt anyway, so I use like 5 Allspecs cards. But it's
Right.
fairly streamlined. You've got a lot of Superior Dominate, and that goes with Superior Fortitude as much as it can do, which is helpful.
So which one do you really, did you say which one you prefer?
I think Anti-Tribute is stronger in general. I think
Because-
Owen and Black Horse Tanner really make it, particularly Black Horse Tanner.
It boils down to the specials of the vampires rather than the library selection.
Yeah, the library selection's pretty similar. The Allspecs more or less councils with the second trads, and politics is doesn't really work here because you can't get a lot of stealth, so you try and do an important political action that gets blocked by somebody.
Because
do you ever find that you get a bit owned by second edition being like an untapped thing with either
Yeah,
form of mist or simply someone bleeding you and like using seduction so you can't wait with it and bounce, stuff like that? Is that like a huge detriment, or does it not often come into play?
so I mean, two things. One, there's a couple of the QVs in there, and 2, you should have 4 minions out. It's really key to have 4 minions out. It likes to have 4 minions out all the time. So you should have 2 princes plus 2 other people, one of whom can sit there and stay untapped, so you can at least try and block bleeds, so you can bounce them. And that's all you really need to do, because you should have enough bounce to keep you at least with the curve, really.
Because when I see this, and I think this ought to be kind of blood heavy, at least if you compare to the Venture and Distribute one, because second trash plus deflection equals a lot more blood cost, and especially if you can take the hit back into account as well, compared to the Venture and Distribute one, which does not play second trads wakes, i.e. the wakes are for free, and you
Yeah.
hope, or at least you're more flexible where you get your blood with Ovain than you are with Lodin. Lodin can
Yes.
potentially protect more of your blood, but it's only one vampire, and it really depends on how many people you actually catch.
Do you think about...
It's very true.
Sorry. But do you think about that when you do the master package as well? Do you use 2 blood dolls in the other deck as well, and Giant's Blood, is it the same blood supply?
No, it is a very similar blood supply, but I use it in the other way around. So here, the blood is going on. In the Venture Distributed deck, it's going off. So I play more governs in this deck, so I'm not spending a lot of pool. The idea is to govern your crypt out quite quickly, and then you can put blood back on vampires later game because you've got a little bit of extra resource. Whereas the other deck, it's only running, I think, 8 governs, so it hasn't got so much stuff to spend.
Just a formality, did you come across some vessels, like blowing your blood dolls? Is that at all a problem anymore?
It happens. I don't think it's really a problem. Because the blood doll you get to use immediately, which is so much more useful, generally.
Isak, you had fun fact or something.
I had a point.
Yeah.
The thing is like Thiago Broom, who made the first version of this, or at least the first version that I've ever come across. We did version of Sticksman. Anyways, he played this last year and happened to get into day 2 finals as well, and also happened to be first seed. In that particular tournament, there was a lot less game wins going around, so I think he was first seed, but with something like 1-5, 1-6, 1-7.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Anyways,
let's have a quick look at that deck list and see how it varies.
Yeah, is it?
because, okay, it could just be a coincidence. Yes, 1-6. He was first seed with 1-6.
Okay.
It could just be a coincidence that both of you happen to be first seed in day 2 with basically the same deck. But do you have any thoughts on why this could work in a day 2 meta, which is a very specific meta, very, very high level of skill, if you take an average, and a lot of control and combat and block decks, and not as much aggro and bleed.
I mean, so again, really, it's a very resilient deck. So it can survive until the end, which means that it's got a good chance of getting 1.5, because it can often oust a prey just with its bleed package. And then if it survives to the end, you've got a chance of 2.5. So I'd expect decks like this on kind of a 40-man tournament like that to get a game win, and then pick up VPs in the other games, and that hopefully gets you enough to get into the finals. It's getting 3 game wins with it in preliminaries is not really what it should be doing.
It's out of the norm.
Yeah.
Okay. So just glancing at this deck list, we don't have to go into detail. So, any main differences with them?
Yeah, so we both used to use Marianne Blair. So I based my version on a guy called John Eno, who used to play in Boston, and used to use like sawn-off shotguns and Marianne Blair, and it was really clunky and slow. It was funny, and it was quite strong and powerful, and he got to the finals of the US Championship, so not the North American Championship, but another biggish event, and that had like a lot of players. He got to the finals with it. I did really well, but Marianne Ballet made it clunky. So the thing here, stripping it down, quite efficient. I guess the differences between the two decks. Thiago likes Murmur of the False Will. I really hate it. I kept 1 to try and see if I liked it, but I really don't like it at all.
Okay.
It's kind of limiting the age thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was actually gonna ask you if I can move on.
Yeah.
About the one-off cards in your deck.
Yep.
Like, how do you feel about them? I guess it's all the ones. Well, all non-masters, which are one-off: Uncoiling, Scourge, Murmur, Uprising, the Equipment, and Carlton. Like,
Yep.
Do you feel all of them are motivated or like warranted in the deck, or are there some that you feel could go? Did you get use of all of them during your game?
So yeah,
that's a
sure. Scourge stays. It's given me like 2 or 3 game wins. With this deck. It's ridiculous. So I had a Dragon's Breath round deck on one of the tables, and the Scourge hit. There was an uncoiling play, my own uncoiling, but the Scourge got rid of a vital minion at the right time, and it won me a tournament in the States by getting rid of someone's only Anarch when there were like 4 Anarch revolts in play. So it's
that's brilliant.
that stayed.
Neat.
Carlton, the principle was that I'm playing Darings, I'd rather have Carlton than someone else have him.
Yeah.
If someone steals Carlton with the ability to press, I can probably kill Carlton in combat.
Yeah.
But he's actually he could go. He's not the end of the world. The Magnum, the Heart, and the Bow. Well, the Heart needs to stay because Black Horse Tan is not in there.
Yeah.
So you need some way of cycling through your red cards if you're not using them, or your masters if you've got too many, or whatever. And the Ivory Bow and the Magnum could probably go, to be honest.
You changed that for another heart.
Well,
wasn't it nice in the finals though, the Ivory Bow? Like you got a lot of bleeds for one.
For 1 through, yeah.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, that might. But Anarchist is one I'm most interested about. Did it help lots?
It's... I don't know.
It does force a block, doesn't it?
It does. Misdirection might be better.
Yeah, but did you use it in the games?
I did use the Troublemaker in the games, yeah. I mean, I got rid of...
Oh, sorry.
again, against the TBR.
Anarchist Uprising.
Anarchist
Oh, that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah. That got me the second game win, or the third
Yeah.
game win. I ousted my Predator with the Anarchist Uprising, and then went heads up with my 1-on-1, and then took the game win from that.
So it stays.
Oh yeah. That one I justified staying, because with 3 darings, you could throw one of them to get the Uprising through. But priority shifts, you just can't.
For me, that's the surprising part. For me, that's really a surprising part that you didn't play a single copper parity shift, because for me that's like the one thing with this iteration of Stickman that I see as an advantage.
Yeah.
But isn't that really like just because you like to play with your mouth?
Yeah, I do, but a 10-pool swing?
Yeah.
Who can say no to that? And as you pointed out...
can. And he's the European Championship. The champion.
It's
what are you champion
hard
of?
to get off. It's the problem.
I'm the champion in 2012.
Well, the year ended.
But what's your reasoning behind the no paired shift policy?
So the original version, I don't remember about John Eno's version. I think it had some votes in there, but the original version I tried to nick off him with Marianne Blair. Has some parity shifts in there, has some fleet drives in there. It's tried to do too much for 2 high cap vampires, and it wasn't really very efficient. So every time I tried to call a parity shift, it would get blocked by someone playing My Name is Enemy or Telepathic Misdirection, and it's just like, why am I even bothering?
Oh no, someone's playing cards against my cards, so I shouldn't play my cards.
I should play different. I may as well bleed for 1, because that's got a... that's more effective than a parity shift that always gets blocked.
In one way, I see where you're coming from, because probably you're not doing that many undirected actions. You have no stealth. You only have darings to rely on. So when you end up doing undirected action, it's very likely to get blocked by. It could be just a random sense to sin or spectral divination or stuff like that as well.
Okay. Final words about the deck. You.
I don't think so. I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory. It plays. It's very relaxing to play, and it's relatively straightforward to play.
Okay. So we should talk a little bit about the preliminary rounds. Just 3 games. The first one, what happened quickly?
AAA is my Predator, which is great with second trans. Prey doing Guillaume, Anarch, Combat Bleed. Grand Prey playing DBR. And Alex, again, playing his IC Asher Tablet monstrosity. And this went great, because obviously your Prey gets wiped out by DBR, so you're thinking that's 1 guaranteed VP, no problems. Then you have to sit next to the DBR. And then he goes, right, this is fine, I've got 7 guys with guns, we're going to rush you all in 1 turn.
Yeah.
And you go, indomitability, hidden, indomitability, hidden, and his face is just cries, and he's like, you saving that up all game long?
Yeah,
yes, yes I was.
Okay.
And then he dies the next turn, and then it just carries on going. That was the best game I've had of V-Test for so long. It just was like a dream. And Pascal was my Predator, and he died, and I felt great.
So the table kind of played itself.
Yeah.
Everyone cooperated making you the game.
But that's the one key round, the round where the DBR has to use all its rush action against you. And
Correct.
That's just a question of, have you found enough red cards to survive? Yeah?
Yeah. And then he's got no cards left. My Predator, so Pascal, he had 1 deflection in his opening hand, and he discarded it, and then he ends up with Alex Bassman behind him with inner circle bleed, and it's like, do you really want to discard these deflections? You're going to need them a lot. The second game was also quite funny, because it's a cross table, Toreador, Aching Beauty, Torrent, bleeding my Predator who's playing Aramane, which is not good for me to have because it means I can't govern down. My prey was Mike Nudd, so I felt kind of guilty because he was playing Stanislava Purge. And then cross table, Kaiser Bleed, played by Lucy from, I guess she must be from Slovakia.
Oh,
Apologies. And that was great as well because Mike sits there, puts a purge out on Stanislava. Everyone's going, "Oh, this is horrible, this is terrible." I'm thinking, I've just got the mask just to oust you. This is perfect. He dies. Mike isn't very pleased. Sharing a room, not good. The Kaiser Bleed does really well. The Toreador Aching Beauty never gets going, so she kills it. So it's me bleeding her, so basically doing nothing. And then we've got the Aramans, and because they're quite violent, they keep coming forward every turn, and they keep trying to block the Kaiser. Kaiser can't get that much stealth. Now, things look desperate here, and then I draw this Anarchist Uprising and a Daring the Dawn. I'm like, well, you're on 3 pool, and you've got 6 minions, Ralph, so you're going to have to die. And then I take my chances against the Kaiser because she's trying to go into him, and I think basically all of the minions got blocked. She's got 1 minion up, and the rest of them got blocked. So it's Pentex, her minion, Anarchist Uprising, kill everyone. That was just also really good fun.
It sounds like
cool
a
example of using Anarchist Uprising.
Yeah, but also using the 2 other players against each other. I guess she's exhausted so much of her stealth the time you actually back oust, so that she ends up in a heads up where you're in a significant advantage because of her 1 low amount of minions and 2 low amount of stealth.
Correct. So she gets additional 6 pool, but it's not enough to help her because I've got 3 minions left, and she's got 1 person Pentext, so the pool doesn't survive because if she had the other minions out, maybe she can do something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's because skill play.
It was lucky. I mean, you need luck, as I said, but it was really good. The third table was great as well. I had Michael as my Predator playing girls. My prey was Julian. I don't know if you guys met him. French guy, very cool, using Shalmuth aggro poke. So I lost a couple of minions to that. And his prey was Peaceful Hungary.
Just a question, what aggro poke? Which?
Shalmuth. So using outside the hourglass. And
okay.
Domain of Evernight.
Alright, oh, go ahead.
So you try and block, hourglass into torpor. His prey was Peter playing what looked like a Tremere anti-tribute bleed deck. It's actually a Valerius Mayor deck, which was nice. And then Kamal playing, so I've known Kamal for a long time. He's playing a Kalian Rush deck, which is kind of coincidental, thinking about what we were talking about earlier. So, eventually, the Shalmuth deck dies eventually after killing a couple of minions on either side of the table. So I've lost a minion here, but I'm dying, looking weak. Michael keeps bleeding me, and then I think a bounce bleed gets through to Peter, and Peter dies as well. I think by this stage, Kalian started to rush me as well, so I've run out of minions. I'm in torpor, so Michael bleeds me out, and then Michael and Camel are playing heads up for literally the last 5 minutes of the game, and nothing changes. So I end up getting a game win by being ousted.
Yeah, well, that's one way to do it.
It wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, it goes to show how important time is.
Yeah.
So
because I guess
you get 2 points, 1.5, half a point. Is that?
I got 2 points there. Michael got 1.5. He said, and Calvin got half.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I would have been on 2 and 9 anyway, but 3 and 9 is obviously even better.
Yeah. Of course. So by then you were heading to the finals,
yes.
And you were first seed. What were you thinking when did you scout the other decks? I presume.
Yeah. So I have to admit, I did have to do the Team Swedish method. I had no idea what Vincent was playing. I had no idea what Roman was playing. So, yeah, we did a bit of scouting. Realised there was a Reversal of Fortunes deck in the final. That was not a positive thing. Couldn't believe that Otso was actually playing Goratrix.
You literally didn't believe it, or just thought it was.
I thought it was hilarious to do. I mean, it's a good choice for day 2. He made his talk. He talked about he's not tried Goratrix. He doesn't have any copies. It was obviously some kind of ploy.
Yeah, I talked about that with him.
Just to throw us all off. Well, the first thing I did was get a whiskey actually before trying to find out other people's decks.
So just trying to calm your nerve, get a steady hand.
Yeah. Then we went for pizza, and then we came back up.
And then you won these.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's straightforward final.
Okay, so what were you thinking when of the seating arrangement then? When it was your turn to put down your card.
Yeah, I'd already had where I thought I was going to sit. Sorry, Adam.
No, go ahead.
Well, I had where I thought I was going to sit, but what I'd completely neglected was the fact that Otso also needs to sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'd realised where I was going to sit with 4 of us on the table, not 5. So I originally wanted to go behind the Reversal of Fortunes deck.
Yeah.
So you mean the Reversals being your prey or your predator?
So the Reversals being my prey, and then Martin being his prey. So the idea would be the Reversals would hopefully never go off, or if it did go off, being behind it would be slightly better than being cross table from it. It might have a turn somewhere.
Yeah.
That didn't really work out because Goratrix sat next to it, and I was like, well, actually, I'd let Goratrix deal with it. I can't go anywhere near Goratrix, otherwise I can't do any governs down. And if I can't do any governs down, I can't really play.
Yeah.
But you decided it was worth it to be cross table from the. Yeah, you trusted Otso to.
Yeah, I made a gamble. I trusted him, and Martin thought he had a good chance as well of getting out really quick votes. He wasn't quite quick enough, so it needed Otso to stop it anyway. But yeah, I trusted Otso to stop it, and luckily he did.
Okay, so what was your... so you sat down, and then what were your strategy from the beginning?
My strategy was slowly work on Vincent without dying to Martin. The only thing, by sitting like this, I slapped between 2 people playing in a circle.
Yeah.
But obviously Vincent wasn't playing votes, if any, but it meant that I had some risk of being power shifted. But I knew that when I sat there, but I thought it'd probably be okay, because if I get power shifted, it doesn't generally oust you, and I have enough bounce to survive Martin, at least for a sensible period of time. So I winged it. I mean, the first turn I thought was really key, because I DI'd Malkavian Justicar across table, and I threw an Anarchist Uprising to fail another Reversal of Fortune as well.
Okay.
So really did not want that Reversal of Fortune to go off, and then I just tried to get my game going and slowly work on Vincent.
Yeah, rather you, Otso and Martin, used resources the first turn Romain acted to halt him in his steps.
Which feels kind of weird cross table, but I think it was really the right thing to do.
Yeah. If you hadn't done that, you would be branded something not good to be branded. I think it would be a very bad play if you hadn't used a DI and your boat card in that particular moment of time.
You
Yeah,
were
supposed to be for a form of mist, but
did you DI the Reversal of Fortune, or what did you DI?
Yeah, I think it was DI on Malkavian Justicar.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which is as bad.
Yeah,
he discarded a practice seizure during his discard phase, and then he had 2 Malkavian Justicars left on his hand. So DIing one of them made sure that Otso could block the other one.
Yeah. Okay. So the game progressed, I presume.
It did, yeah. I mean, it kind of went relatively normally to start with. I mean, Roman didn't give up. He got guys out and did a few niggly beads on Martin. Martin didn't have a lot of pressure, so got a lot of guys out, but he wasn't really doing anything with those guys, so I was comfortable. And Vincent kept having a few attempts at Gora tricks, and occasionally got bounced and whatever. So it all looked relatively stable. And then it gets
Otso did look kind of pinned down.
shaky.
At
He
one point.
looked shaky at one stage. Yeah.
When Gore-Tex was in Pentex for a few turns.
Yeah, who's pentexed for quite a lot of the game.
First Romain and then Vincent, I think.
Yeah, and then Martin at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Gore-Tex belongs in the Pentex.
Exactly.
Just common courtesy.
But I mean, everyone was trying to play the game, which was always helpful for a deck like mine.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably, I don't want anyone to play the game because I'm a seed, but I prefer to try and kill people if I can.
Did you, at this stage, were you dealing with your cross-table buddies? Or is it you should probably oust the Reversal of Fortune deck, or did you just, okay, that didn't go out, he's not going to make it?
I'd kind of shut off about whether or not he was going to survive. So if he survives, it's up to him. But I need to kill Vincent to make sure that if he doesn't survive, I've still got that first seed position.
Yeah.
So that's what I always try to do. I basically assumed that he might die at some stage, but Otso didn't have a lot of minions, so he might not die. And then I think I got a good bounce from Martin onto Vincent, and Vincent looked really weak. And I thought, excellent, I can now have a go at this. And I tried to kill him with a Daring the Dawn, and he got DI'd cross-table by Otso, which I was not hugely...
Really greedy.
I was not massively happy about at the time.
Yeah, but they cut the deal, didn't they? Because
They cut a deal, yeah.
And that deal was not so good for you, was it?
That deal was awful. That deal was Vincent will bleed with a Rika at stealth, Otso will bounce it, killing Roman. I was like, that's a terrible deal. I mean, Vincent didn't have any choice in the basis that he's got to try and bleed Otso if he survives anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fine. But then I tried again, and then he used an Eagle Sight. It was like, no, stop.
You can't just trust each other and help each other?
Apparently not.
But did you feel afterwards that Otso was too greedy at that point? Do you still think that, or did he play was it like he was supposed to? In your opinion, of course.
I think that's a very risky play. I think it's quite dangerous. So, Otso can definitely handle me as a predator. So I don't get through Goratrix with 3 minions. But, well, if I do, it's very lucky. So, as a predator, I'm safe. What might be dangerous if I bounce high stealth bleeds from Stanislava. Okay, that could be dangerous for him. But I think he's thinking that if he can just slow the game down and get 1 VP, then he can worry about things after that. But I'm pretty sure that Vincent's always going to die.
Yeah.
But
So, I don't know.
I think that was a smart play, because as the table was, if there weren't for that bleed with stealth and bounce deal with Vincent, I think he'd have a really hard time ousting Roman. Because
Yeah, because he had 4 minions or 5 minions out. So just count
Roman,
twos, but they get in the way. That's very true.
and there were
he doesn't oust, he can't win.
flamethrower as well, so he ended
he
up
did.
losing a lot of blood in that process.
And I think at the point he made that deal, he had DI, Eagle Sight, and maybe a bounce on his hand. He was I think he...
Best hand ever.
I think he reasoned okay, all things equal, I'll probably be able to deal with Hugh, but in this situation, with me at 3 pool and my minions are really low on blood, I won't be able to survive Hugh. I think that was why he was so desperate to make sure that Vincent survived, because he couldn't handle you in the short term.
Yep.
How many minions did Vincent have at this point, too?
He had a Rika and the cool 7 cap Barley out, whose name now escapes me.
Giotto, and he had Yaroslav.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so he was with 3 minions in a way, so he wasn't toothless.
I mean, there's definitely a chance that... Vincent played his turn out. So when it got around to Vincent's turn, Vincent played his turn out reasonably sensibly. I think he was trying to do damage to Otto at the same time. I mean, he'd bled with Eureka, and he used stealth, and
Yeah.
there was a bounce card there, but, you know, c'est la vie.
Exactly.
But did he bleed with the other 2 minions as well? Just try and do some damage?
He did, I think. Or did he get
Yeah.
Contagion in play?
Might.
Oh, yeah, I think he played Contagion. But I think he tried to bleed one more time. I'm not sure though, but I got the feeling as well that he was actually trying to be aggressive for real.
Yeah, I thought so
because
too.
it's kind of a tipping point.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because I can't see his hand.
Yeah.
But I mean, Vincent isn't the kind of guy who likes to roll over. He was
No, no,
definitely going for I mean, no one in that final. Once you're in that final, you want to win that.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I can think of an exception, which is Turin in 2006, but that's a special final where my compatriot Anthony Coleman had a spare assistant in the final to make sure he won.
But that
Nothing
was
untoward. He just convinced him that you should be my assistant. Okay.
but that was before the change of the
It was, yeah.
positioning of the table. So he played for second place rather than first.
He didn't even play for second. So, yeah.
Anyway, let's go on with this game. Okay, so you didn't manage to oust Vincent, and Vincent didn't manage to oust either.
Correct. So Otto killed Roman
oust?
through Vincent's bleeds. So
Yeah.
we're then down to 4 of us. I can't really remember what Martin did that turn. I think
I think he didn't he start.
I think he passed.
Probably hunted for one with all his minions.
Yeah,
He played Superior Govern and paused the turn.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
Contagion play, and he basically didn't do anything. He just sat there. So I wasn't on a lot of pool. I was on like 5 pool or 6 pool. I took one for the Contagion, and then I played Pentex and Jaroslav, and then I bled and finally killed him. So it was down to 3 of us.
You were really going for the 3-player game then.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a good 3-player game to be in because I was on 9 pool,
Yeah.
which isn't a lot with Stanislava behind you, and I'm really relying on Martin bleeding me at stealth to kill my
Yeah,
prey.
But I mean, Otto can just bounce back. Isn't that a dangerous play? Did you ever cross your mind to let Vincent oust? Because maybe that's
Nope.
Well, at this point, time was running out, wasn't it?
okay.
Yeah, we were down to about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we'd had a very we had a long turn where we did a lot, which was Martin doing stuff, me try to kill Vincent, and then Vincent try to do stuff as well, which resulted in Roman dying. So we had a busy turn where a lot of stuff happened, and I wasn't, I was no longer winning at that turn. So letting someone else go to VP, you can't control that. I think it's very dangerous. As I learned from the previous day, if you can kill somebody, they need to die.
Yeah, I think that's
so you
very, very important lessons, because letting, and I'm using the air quotes now,
Yep.
as letting Vincent out Otso, don't think that's a realistic option. Otso is playing an Auspex Sweeney with Goratrix, and also being one of the best players in the world, you just don't let someone oust Otso.
No.
It's you grind him down,
You simply
which
don't walk into more, yeah.
but you don't. And Vincent's deck felt kind of strong, but not strong enough.
Yeah. So you ousted him. You were in the pre-play game. At this point, did you think you were going to win? Did it look really good for you, or were you still?
It looked really poor, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Just looking at this seating arrangement, you look.
Yeah. Basically, to me, I thought that Martin was going to win it because he had minions. He didn't have a lot of blood on his minions, but he had some.
Yeah.
He didn't have the best minions out. He had Etris, Stanislava, Ingrid. I can't remember if he had a 4th guy out now as well, but he had enough minions that he could oust me, and he'd been doing some damage with votes. So he played like a priority shift and things like that. So he was getting more resources from me, and it didn't look great. So at this stage, I could try and wall up and stay there. What actually happened is I also got Pentext on Goratrix, I tried to take advantage of this by bleeding him and playing like a conditioning, which didn't do anything useful and it got bounced back to Martin. Martin took the pool. Otto has a turn. He's got a guy in Torpor at this stage, so it looks okay. He's got like one guy Pentex, one guy in Torpor, one guy not doing a lot.
May I say something for the record here?
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, Otso and Martin have actually made a deal. Like, Martin, you need to take Hugh out, because for both of them, that's the only way to win.
Yeah,
if you're
correct.
out, and it ends up with time with them, the two of them, Otso wins because you only have one, and he's got 1.5. And Martin needs to get you both to win the game.
Yeah, which he was trying.
So that's a really uncomfortable situation for you, where you're in a situation where both of them generally have the only desire they have is to kill you. So they cooperate regarding everything, basically.
Pretty much. I think Otso would have, if the minor maze, so the minor maze enemy gets Martin down quite significantly, and then Otso did bleed. I mean, Otso's other route is he just kills Martin. That also wins for him.
Yeah, of course.
Fair enough, that's true.
So at this point, with like 20, 15 minutes time, do you think did you ever actually play for time? Or
No, it's a rubbish way to play when you've got no pool and no minions. So I mean, I've got no actions I can do. So I had to do something like 2 hunts anyway. So that's hunt, no blocks, hunt. I think I got blocked by some dirty Tremere, send Tremere to Torpor. And then I bled him, and he's on like 3 pool or something. He doesn't block, play conditioning, get back to Martin. Things now look quite bad because I have one guy in Torpor who I think actually he may have only been dabberized. So I had one guy in Torpor who either was about to get dabberized. I had Lodin on 0 blood or 1 blood, and Emily on 1 blood tapped.
Yeah.
So things didn't look good. But I mean, then Otso does some stuff, but he doesn't. He tries to remove the Pentex and fails, and taps out basically, and then I don't know, and then it's Martin's turn. He tries to kill me, failed to block, bounce it to Otso. Otso dies.
And I think also
and it's in the back.
something that made this extra exciting or like extra awesome was that you used your last blood to play that bounce card.
Yep.
So it's like really
Now or
close.
never. Yeah.
I used 100% of resources.
No wastage.
No wastage. I mean, I had a second tradition that I couldn't play.
Yeah.
So, and then it was like the game was over, of course.
Yeah, I think I had 9 pool or whatever, and Martin I think ousted me. But it doesn't matter at that stage. I think the key thing, I mean, the 2 key bits in the game for me, ignoring the daring, getting DI'd across the table on the Eagle Sight block. The first bit was making sure the reversal deck didn't get going. I thought it was really
key.
really helpful. I mean, that doesn't necessarily help me more than anyone else, but it helps everybody. The other 4 players have their own game.
Yeah. The table ends up being predictable instead of incredibly unpredictable.
Correct. And the other thing which is really important to me was I had a Dreams the Sphinx, I think, in my first hand. I think I used it twice, and then Martin plays Dreams. I left it there the entire game.
But that's one of those
skill play.
Yeah, but because I think a less experienced player would at one point or another is like, oh, I can't pay 20% of my pool to keep these dreams going. But that was exactly what you had to do in that game, because if Martin got the whole dreams things going, that would be in a totally different game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I only yielded it right on the last turn where a bleed from, if I kept it going, a bleed from Ingrid kills me without a bleed boost. I was like, well, that might make a difference.
Yeah, but
might not.
But that's really because you maybe pay 10 pool in contest all in all, 11?
Something like that, yeah. I'd say 9 maybe.
Because you need to have such a good understanding of the game to realize from the get-go that I'm playing this deck, I have a really good card flow, I manage well, because that's the way you play, and you'll play a lot of auto-turn acting. Then you have less issues with card flow. But you see Stanislava, it's a high cap power action deck, which ends up with card flow issues, especially long terms.
Adam,
So
did you see? Sorry.
Yeah, so that Martin's deck needs the dreams a lot more than you do.
And I saw how he used it on day one to such good
that
effect.
was what I was gonna ask. Did that affect a lot? How?
Totally.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I saw what you did. I can't remember if he tapped it for pool or anything like that on day one, but I think it was just cards. So you know he saw so. 20, 24 cards from 4 sets of dreams. That did not need to happen. If he hadn't seen that, he probably wouldn't have killed Michael.
But were you thinking about that when you play the dream and just going to use it 2 times and then just contest?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking this needs to go on the table. I need to use this. It's going to sit there. So when he played his dreams, I think it already sat there.
Yeah.
For a turn not being used.
Adam, did you at any point of the game see Martin's hand? Or do you speculate? Do you know if you had like a hand jam, a lot of Mastercard's speed acceleration or something?
I don't think his deck carries crypt acceleration at all.
It does. It does.
Okay.
5 Zillas and 1 information highway.
Okay. Well, yeah, I saw his hand during the entire game. I saw him. I sat behind Roman and Martin. So yeah, I saw it. His deck is quite defensive. So it has like reaction cards and earth melts and stuff. So I think that affects how he plays the deck. It is kind of slow, and that's how he played it as well. And it might have been extra affected by the fact that Smiling Jack wasn't played until 3 counters, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So he bloated a lot. He did a lot of superior governs, and he waited. And of course, if Roman starts bleeding with 5 minions, Martin can't defend that because he relies on bounces, and bleeds for 1 is not so good against bounces. So I think he was just playing defensively because he had no option from his Predator and from his deck, and also the contestation of the dreams.
Okay, cool. So, Isak, do you have anything you'd like to add from the game from a judge point of view?
They played precise and well, and that Madness Network is a headache when you're judging and when you're playing.
Yeah.
Impulse passes.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a recording of the finals. I don't know how many times I said impulse.
Quite a few times. Sorry.
It's fine.
So, how did you feel after you won, Hugh?
It was amazing. It really, really was. I can't. I've won a lot of tournaments, played a lot of different people, but that one really, wow. It felt good. So many people watching and being really enthusiastic about the event. It felt really, really good.
You didn't feel like, oh my god, finally, I'm done with this. That's not how you felt?
That's my first EC Day 2 final, so no, it was like, wow, first one, success.
I'm really happy for you.
Yeah. I never got to
Yeah.
say congratulations in person. I'm sad about that. But
We're super proud of you.
So well deserved.
Yeah.
Long live Team Sweden.
Yes.
Okay, so anyone wants to summarize of some sort? Anything else about the EC? Now is your time.
Oh, just things we were talking about earlier, pre us going live, is a really relaxed, very cool EC. Very chilled, lots of big parties of guys mixing, playing lots of other games. I think it went very, very well.
Yeah, I have to agree with Hugh. I really liked the atmosphere of the whole thing. It was relaxed and still high quality. And someone has to do some statistics on the timeouts, but my gut tells me there were less timeouts than it's been the previous 3 years.
Adam?
I enjoyed it a lot. It was really, really... obviously it becomes a bit less stressful when it's in your own country, but I think as I can comment on it aside from that, it was really, really relaxed and fun, and got to see so many of my favorite BTS players.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really bummed about that I missed it, but I mean, what can you do? Work and stuff sucks. Anyhow, so I guess that's it from Cause and Effect. And we will probably see you sometime. We're not going to promise anything. But it's not going to go like a year again, probably.
We have the Dance Macabre, which
Yeah.
needs to be dealt
We're
with.
gonna, we of course, we're going to have a lot of shows about Dance Macabre in the future, and it's going to be awesome, so stay tuned, and thanks everyone for watching. It's been awesome, and congratulations yet again, you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.